So, what is your name and what was your what was your job in the Navy and how long were you in?
So I'm Corey Lambeth,
Okay.
and I was in the Navy from June 1995 till April of 2018. So 23 years. About.
3.
Yeah, I retired as a hospital corpsman chief, and during my career, I was a corpsman for the majority of my career. I trained to be a Fleet Marine Force corpsman, which is combat medic, trained to go with the Marine Corps, and did a couple deployments with the Marine Corps. Did one with the Army in Iraq. Been in combat a couple times. But a good majority of my career was spent as training. So I did training for medical personnel, specifically people in X-ray and cardiovascular medicine as a subspecialty of our rate, and kind of a specialized training program. And I was in charge of that for almost 8 years.
Okay. And how many deployments would you say you were on? Like combat zone, non-combat zone?
Yeah, so
Altogether.
out of Hawaii, I took a couple different training deployments. My first few years in combat deployments, I did 2, and one in Iraq, one in Afghanistan, and those were short deployments, and then I had a longer one that was 15 months total.
15 months. Okay.
Which
Now,
was actually right when you were born.
now into the U.S. Navy in San Diego. Why do you think San Diego became such a prime destination for the Navy? You know, like you see bases like most common Miramar, the one on Coronado, North Island.
Yeah.
Camp Pendleton.
So the ones you're talking about, so Miramar and Pendleton are Marine Corps bases. They do have Navy presence there, but the strategic location from a military standpoint is just undeniable, specifically for our Navy. When you talk about just kind of natural harbors and the ability to develop and house a fleet of ships. We have over 50 ships normally assigned in the San Diego region, and then like you said, so there's probably 150 at any given time tenant commands, but ships there's 50, and so you have the ability to have a fleet concentration area. This is the second largest fleet in the Navy, and when we say fleet, that's just kind of a naval base, so the second largest one in the Navy. And so it provides a lot of strategic location. We're close to Hawaii, which is another Pacific Fleet concentration. We have access to the Panama Canal. We have the ability to get in and out to the sea lanes very quickly. And so it also had the ability to provide, safe harbors, if you will, for large decks, so aircraft carriers, large amphibious ships, like the Peleliu. These are very large deck ships that have access in and out, quick access in and out to the Western Pacific sea lanes. And so just very strategic location. Mm-hmm. And then San Diego, interestingly enough, and just if you look at our country's development, it was one of the early cities that was kind of settled, and we had railways too. And so there was an infrastructure here to support that kind of base and what you're trying to do when you build up something like that, a military organization.
Right. And now, the U.S., especially the Navy, more so the military came in here. How would you say the city's kind of like hospitality has been towards the Navy and your guys' presence here?
That's a good question. I think, so when I first got here, there's I don't know if you guys had heard of this, but there was a term. Maybe you've probably heard of it, like you're acting like a drunken sailor, and so probably right as I was getting into the Navy, so mid '90s, there's some big kind of scandal, and the Navy has, if you watch Top Gun, some of you guys have seen a movie like that. It's a lot of fun, and the Navy has a kind of a reputation for loving to party. And so one of the big things that happened was something called tailhook, and unfortunately it was a scandal. And so we had to kind of clean up that reputation, a lot of drinking. And so what happens is, when you drink, if you're looking for trouble, you can typically find it. Right. And so, that's a lot of military communities are like that. Sailors, Marines, whatever, they get paid twice a month, and when they get paid, because they're typically out on those weekends trying to party. So they'll be in the clubs and the bars and things like that. And so, but when I came in was just after that, and so they were trying to kind of change that reputation and turn it around. And so there were a lot of initiatives that happened throughout my career that were kind of along the lines of things that I did a lot of. So Habitat for Humanity, getting involved in the community, doing projects, reclamation projects, beach cleanups, things like that build goodwill in a community, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then you're not just seeing people out partying, the downside of that. And then, even when we are partying, we're bringing a lot of, typically you bring military people, bring a lot of good things, economic, growth indexes to a community. So when there's money coming into that community, it's a good thing. And so then you just need the goodwill behind that, right? And so you've seen there's also been an embrace, going back and forth. So in my 20-year career, you didn't really see so much of the sports embracing, but there are things like, when the Chargers were here, the Chargers were huge within the military community. They really embraced us. The Padres do a military Sunday. They wear the military jersey. So now it just seems like maybe, even within my career, there's been a real big embrace of the military folks from the sports. And so I think that's kind of been a really good dynamic that's changed. So as the military tried to move away from some of that drunken sailor reputation, mm-hmm. and then, getting more involved in the goodwill projects in the community, and then sports also embracing military has been a good thing. Right. And you've seen, San Diego's a great example of that.
For sure. And while you were here stationed in San Diego, have you seen any, growth in the Navy's infrastructure or any milestones that the Navy has made while you were here and expanding themselves across the city?
Actually, I would say in a lot of ways, the military presence here from an actual fleet has gotten smaller, and so we're trying to do more with less. And so in a lot of ways, there have been projects to build, but in a lot of ways, if you look over at as one of the easiest examples that come to my mind, because it happened while I was here, is over there in Point Loma. That used to be the training base, and now that's all been kind of given back to the community of San Diego. And now it's housing over there. It's there's restaurants and a bit more infrastructure over there, and so I would say our footprint has maybe gotten a little smaller just in my time, mm-hmm. but I think that's been embraced by the community. So because it brings more resources and things like that. So
okay, and then throughout your time in the Navy in San Diego, how would you describe your time here, and if you had any best moments, I would say?
Some of the things that I have loved about San Diego is, again, there's so many traditions in the service, and one of them is when you get promoted to a certain rank. So for me, it was when I made chief, we do a lot of engagement in the community. And so whether it was, running through certain areas, Balboa Park I can think of, and we're just doing traditional type of things, singing songs in formation, and just seeing the community respond back to us and appreciating what we do. We do a culmination type celebration on top of the midway. We do some of these different projects all throughout this promotion period. We're very involved in the community doing, again, a lot of different community development projects, reclamation, trash pickup, just trying to be good stewards and good partners with our community. And so that's what I think, again, I enjoyed that the most. I enjoyed building that goodwill, and when people see, you wearing the blue and gold and representing the Navy, or see you in a military uniform, and you see that, thank you for your service, or you see the respect instead of, you don't want somebody to be frustrated because they live in a military community because,
Right.
The military community is not respecting the property or the community or the city or its residents. You want to make sure that we're kind of ambassadors for what we do.
Gotcha. All right, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of talking, but
Yeah.
thank you. Great
It
job.
was good.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.